Let me first start the recording, and now I will share my screen. Jimmy, can you confirm that you can see the slides? Can somebody confirm that you see the slides on my screen?
Yes.
I can see the slide. This is Adrienne.
Thank you. This meeting is being recorded. Our policy is that we will record this for use for public relations and social media outreach. Exceptions can be made. Make the request to me or Monica, and we will pass the word along. Most video is shared group for members' education. Welcome to Online Toastmasters. As others have mentioned that they came, and many of us are here together to learn more about how to become better at giving webinars and online events. I want to give thank you to Ring Central, who provides the platform for us to use for this club. And cloud is winning, and Ring Central is winning in the cloud. Online meeting tips. You may want to use a headset or earbuds so that it will not conflict with your camera or the microphone. Mute your mic when it's not your turn, and it is in the lower left-hand corner of the screen. You can also toggle your video on and off. We want to see you as much as possible, but if you are doing something in the background, you can go ahead and mute your video also. Online meeting video control, as you can see that you can control your screen in terms of looking at the gallery view versus the speaker's view. What you do on your screen will not impact what other members. You're only controlling your desktop. So please watch the time. If you are speaking, whether you are the prepared speaker, the evaluator, the table topic masters, and various role holders, please make sure that you can see the timer in the screen so that you can tell the timer flag and the notes, the signal the timer will give you. How to become a member? You can get back onto our website, our club's website, click on to join. We would like you to attend at least 2 meetings as a guest, and this is an events club, and therefore we would like to have any absolute beginners. But if you do not meet as a events, if you have not come to 2 meetings, and is that you would want to join us, then there is an exception here that you can make a 1 to 2 minute speech about why you want to join, and that we will take a look case by case. Exceptions are subject to the vote of the board. The vote on the July office, we have already voted for that. Therefore, it is showtime. Let me stop sharing. And as I said earlier, the recording has started, and the Toastmasters of the evening is Viviana. Take it away, Viviana.
Thank you, Roger. So, welcome online presenter and honorable guests. I'm your Toastmaster of the day, and today we will celebrate World Environment Day. Many trees have been sacrificed for what is called development. And I see a couple of you wearing a green today. So I also bring a potted of plant instead of a big tree to remind us of this day. And my role is to make sure that the meeting is running smoothly. And we divide the meeting into three parts. One is prepare speeches. Second is table topics, and the third part is evaluation. So I cannot do this meeting alone. I have several people who will assist me today. So I will call them to explain their role. So the first one is our counter, Salma Ajani. Can you unmute yourself, Salma?
All right, my role will be the R counter. My job will be to notice all the ahs and ums and you knows from everyone, and I'll mark it, and at the end of the meeting, I will let you know how many ahs and ums you had. Thank you.
Wonderful. Now we call our timer, Scott Johnston.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. My job is to track the times so members can see, and also especially for the speakers, whether you're a speaker or table topics or an evaluator, I'll be using the traditional Toastmasters International cards, so I'll have to turn my light off because you can't see the green. So I'll have to go green screen. That doesn't shine too well, but you've got yellow and you've got red. Just be aware that either track your own time or pin me so you know when your time's up. After 30 seconds after your time up, I'll be making an audible noise just to give you a warning that you're 30 seconds over. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Scott, for all the colorful timing device. Now we call the grammar. Grammarian Jim Barber, can you give us the word of the day?
I'm sorry, Madam Toastmaster. I dropped my audio there for a moment. I didn't hear you call on me. As the grammarian this evening, I'm going to be listening for exceptional uses and misuses of the English language, and I will be reporting them at the end of the evening. As for the word of the day, you caught me flat-footed. I don't know what the word of the day is. Perhaps someone else could help. Do we have a word of the day? Or not?
No, we don't have the word of the day.
Then we will.
D-Day is coming up.
Beg pardon?
D-Day is coming up.
That's true. Today is Earth Day. The word of the day is natural. Natural.
Thank you, Jim, for the word of the day. Now we will call the watcher, Elaine Nipperding. Elaine.
Hi. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. I will be giving good visual observation to the visual effects of our meeting tonight. Body language, lighting, positioning within the visual frame, things like that. Back to you.
Thank you, Elaine. Now we call again the Jim Barber to explain the role of a vote counter.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. It's nice to be back. As the vote counter this evening, I will be counting votes. I accept MasterCard, Visa, American Express, and plain old checks. Pass them in my direction prior to the voting, the announcement of the voting, rather.
Yes, thank you, Jim. And don't forget to send your votes to Jim Barber. And the chat monitor is Louis.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. I feel like a natural at this role because I can chat all day long. My responsibility is to watch what's going on in the chat monitor and report at the end of the meeting any information that sounds really important or fun that everybody should know about. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Louis. Now let's go to our formal speeches. So reminder to all the speakers to pin the timer who is Scott Johnston, right? So you can see the time device. The first speaker is Monica Tucker. She's going to inspire us with the Competent Communication Project number 10, Inspire Your Audience. Her title is Racing to Win. About her is in September 2001, Monica faced an event that would change her life forever. Through trauma, healing, and discovery, Monica learned the value of living the life like it was the last. Join me to welcome Monica as she takes you on her journey in life with Racing to Win. Let's welcome Monica.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. September 2001 has historic meaning, especially for the 11th. I didn't realize 10 days after that I would face a different challenge. September 22nd, we race cars. My husband races dirt track cars, super late model. We've got 3 generations of racing family on both sides of our family. We seem to always be at the track at certain times of the year. This was one of them. We had a normal night for racing. We started off and we had everybody at the track. My son was with me when we were watching the race. And I only go up to the racetrack to watch my husband race. I don't feel like I need to be there for all of it, but I do join ever so often. As we were watching him race down the track from where we stood, I noticed a car got out of control. It started walking up the wall, coming toward us. You think you have enough time to get away from these things? You don't. You never will. We turned to run, and about the time I started to turn, I got hit by the race car. It threw me about 20 feet in the air. I landed under a four-wheeler, and it was so noisy, and then all of a sudden, quiet, and I couldn't figure out why. Well, I think I was having a panic attack at the same time. I couldn't speak for like 1 minute. I couldn't find my son. Then in a minute, he's behind me. He's going, Mama, Mama, you got to get up. The car is on fire, and it's about 15 feet from me where it landed. And he was afraid it was going to explode. So he was trying to help me get up. I still haven't spoken yet. And believe me, this is not typical for me. I'm never at a loss for words. So he gets me up, and for some reason, my shoe feels really wet. I couldn't figure out why. The ambulance was already on site, so they helped me get into the ambulance. They load me up. Then they start cutting my clothes off. And I'm like, okay, these are really good clothes you're cutting off. Not realizing the back looked like somebody took a cheese grater and went down it. So they get all the clothes off. They get me wrapped up. They stop the bleeding in my leg, which is why my shoe was wet. And we're heading to the hospital. And they got my husband out of his race car and into the ambulance as we went around. And my son's in there with us. And we're going up this really bumpy road. And they hit every bump they possibly could in between where they loaded me and how we got to the blacktop. And I hollered when we finally hit the blacktop, I think you missed one. You might want to go back. My husband's going, oh my Lord, would you please just be quiet? Let's get to the hospital and take care of whatever's wrong. So we get to the hospital. They take me into the emergency room. I stayed in the emergency room for about 6 hours. They were trying to clean the wound. And I do have, I'm not going to show you graphic photos. Obviously, you've probably eaten tonight. And I'm pretty sure you want to keep whatever is there with you. This is our racing team, part of them. My son is not in this picture at the time. And this is what the dirt track looks like. So if you ever go to a dirt track race, this is our cars and this is them going around the track at the start of the race. They don't look like they're going fast when they're going, but they get upwards of 60 to 100 miles an hour depending on the size of the track. So at the track they were at, they were probably going 60, and hopefully he was a little slower when he hit me. At least it didn't feel like it anyway. And when they have wrecks, usually they're really bad. This is actually what my leg looks like today. You could see 2 inches of my bone when it occurred. I didn't realize this until I was told. The doctors, after they cleaned it and everything, I ended up having to have, there were at least 12 infections where they had to cut because the dirt would work itself out. They didn't tell me at the time that I could lose my leg if I get an infection on the bone because it was exposed. I had so much blood loss, I ended up having to have a blood transfusion when all was said and done. And I was in the hospital for 3 days, and then I recovered for another 6 weeks at home, but it took me over a year to get over all the problems that were brought on by this event. And I'm not going to continue to show that because some people kind of don't like the appearance of it. I elected not to have a skin graft because my doctors told me that it would hurt just as bad as what I had gone through. And he said if you were going to have a scar either there or where they do the graft, it wasn't going to be that much better, because when they put the stitches in, because of the large opening, it ended up popping open. So I had to pack it 3 times a day with gauze and filtered water, sterilized water, and then I had to pull it out to make it bleed, in essence, to grow skin back. And that's why it looks the way it does in that one area. But one of the things that I did learn from that, after laying in bed for that long, which I never lay around like that, take it one day at a time and live it to the fullest. Since then, I've had a knee replacement. I know I sound clumsy at this point. I've had a knee replacement, and I've had a rotator cuff that was torn when I went hang gliding. And I also do triathlons now, which I'm not the fastest in the world, but I get the job done. I cross the finish line. So I continue to look for different things to do, and I will never take life for granted. So that's how I want to leave it with everyone. Be sure to live your life to the fullest. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Monica. You are amazing. You turn the scary life experience into living to the fullest. Now we call the second speaker, Rachel Brogan. She will present interpretive reading project number 1, Read a Story. A short introduction is the purpose of an interpretive reader is to communicate through voice the work of an author. The interpretative reader's goal is to enthrall the audience with a story that the audience isn't even aware of the reader. So the reader makes the story come alive. The purpose of this project is for the speaker to present a narrative using vocal techniques that help the audience to understand and enjoy the selection. And Rachel will share No Excuses, written by Dr. Wayne W. Dyer. Let's welcome Rachel. The time is 8 to 10 minutes.
Ever since I was born, I have loved sea turtles. I loved sea turtles so much that I drove my family completely crazy. Everyone wondered why I loved turtles so much. I lived on a farm. People would ask me, why don't you like cows? Why don't you like chickens? Why don't you like pigs? All these animals are great, but it just wasn't a sea turtle. And I loved sea turtles so much that I was determined that I was going to see one in real life. Living on the farm, I wasn't very close to the beach. So the next best thing was to hop in the local bus and go to our local aquarium. Boy, did I learn a lot that day when I went to the aquarium. Not only did I see my first live sea turtle, but I found out that they are an endangered species. They need my help. They need your help if they are going to survive. When I was visiting the aquarium, I decided right then and there to devote my life to sea turtles. And I met the perfect person to help me, Dr. Tortuga. Dr. Tortuga is a scientist, a marine biologist. She is an expert on sea turtles, and her job is to study and protect them. I wanted to be just like her. I started visiting whenever I could. I was very excited that I was getting to go to the aquarium. I told everybody, including my teachers, that I wanted to be a marine biologist. But my teacher said, "Wow, you have to be pretty smart to do that. Science doesn't really seem like your best subject." "Oh, okay," I said. The lady at the shoe store said, "That will take a long time. Are you sure you want to study that much?" I don't know, I thought. Mom told me, "You know, we might not have the money to send you to college. If this is something you want, you may need to do it on your own." Oh, goodness, I thought. Grandpa said, "We are a family of farmers, and that is what we have always done. Your dad would sure be disappointed." Soon, I started thinking that becoming a marine biologist wasn't such a good idea. I sat down and I made a list. I made a list of reasons not to become a marine biologist. I'm not smart enough. It'll take a long time. It's too hard. My family will be disappointed. It will cost too much. I went the next day to visit Dr. Tortuga, and I told her that I wouldn't be coming by anymore. I showed her my list. "Well," she said, "this is nothing but a list of excuses. Excuses are just words put down on paper to keep you from what you want to do and not having what you want. For example, you want to be a marine biologist. You've heard lots of opinions from people, and now you feel like there are things standing in the way of your goal. When you find yourself with a list of excuses like this, it's time to ask yourself some important questions. Why am I making an excuse? People make excuses for all kinds of things. Excuses give us a reason not to do the things that seem hard or scary. Making excuses can cause you to miss out on a lot of life." Where did the excuses come from? You might want to blame excuses on your parents, your teachers, and friends, but no matter what anyone else says, there is only one person an excuse comes from, and that's you. Why? Because you can only choose to use the excuse or not. Is the excuse true? When you say something like, "It's too hard to become a marine biologist," or "My family will be disappointed," do you know these things for sure? Are you 100% sure that it will be hard, that people will be disappointed? Of course you don't. The only way you will know is to do it and find out for yourself. How can I get rid of excuses? Now you know where excuses come from, why you make them, and how to find out if they are true. This way, you can spot the exact minute that it comes up and use what you've learned to stop the excuse in its track. To make or not make excuses is a choice you have every day. Now here is another choice you can throw. Another choice. You can throw away the list and make a promise to yourself that you will not let excuses get in your way. Without excuses, you are free. Free to be anything you want to be. When I went to bed that night, I thought of everything Dr. Tortuga had said. As I slept, I dreamed I was swimming with a giant sea turtle. A whole school of baby turtles swam behind me, and I was surrounded by all the beautiful creatures of the sea. It was the best feeling ever. When I woke up, I knew that being a marine biologist was the one thing I wanted to do more than anything in the world, and that I would not let excuses get in the way. I got up and I made a new list. No more excuses. I am smart. It doesn't matter how long it takes. I will find a way to pay for college. I am not afraid to take a chance. I kept that list and read it every single day. When I did my homework and taking tests, I told myself I am smart, and I believed it. When I was working in the snack bar, cleaning windows, and caring for dolphins to earn money for college, I reminded myself that I was doing this to make my dream come true. The day I left for college, I was so proud of myself. I got on that bus with my bags packed, and I knew I was going to be something important. Now that I am grown up and I work with sea turtles in Hawaii, I am sure glad I did not let a bunch of excuses stand in my way. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Rachel. That's a wonderful story about sea turtle and your work with the sea turtle as well. Now let's go to the third speaker is Adrian William, our VPE. Adrian will present Motivational Strategies Level 1, Mastering Fundamentals, Evaluation and Feedback. First speech. The title is Imagine Life. A short introduction about Adrian. Adrian is a real estate broker with over 15 years of experience. She works with a top-rated real estate education company. She was the 2017 champion of impromptu speaking for Toastmasters International District 47. And she loves to travel and see live entertainment. Her project is, the timing is 5 to 7 minutes. Let's welcome Adrian. Can you unmute
Paul
yourself?
Davidson. I'm not muted. You can't. Hello, can you hear me? Yes, no? You still can't hear me? Okay. Imagine life without any debt. I know this seems impossible to do because we've been trained. We've been trained to focus on monthly payments. Make this monthly payment. If you could afford it, you can buy it. But according to USA Today and an article done by Paul Davidson, he said that 68% US that have debt, 30% of them say they will never be debt free. 38% say they don't know when. You can also find sources as to that as well. Credit card.
We lost Adrian.
How come she's muted again?
Adrian, can you unmute yourself?
I'm guessing that is her connection that's been dropped. I've been trying to unmute her as a host, and there's no reaction on my end.
Plus her connection said that it was really low. Why don't we go to table topics and keep going, and we can come back.
All right.
Okay, so so we will come back to Adrian's speech later if she's available. So let's go to table topic. Table topic, the next part is the next part of our meeting. So we call Carol Brzezinski as a table topic master. Let's welcome Carol.
Yay. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We have a special moment today. It is June 4th, depending on where you are in the world. And I thought I would take aspects of June 4th to bring it into our table topics today. Jimmy, you're up first. Winston Churchill gave a speech in 1942 called "We Shall Fight on the Beaches." Winston Churchill is extremely good with his pauses. Tell me more, not that you remember this speech per se, but give us an idea of how he has influenced you in your life. Winston Churchill, pauses, and amazing speech. Jimmy, you're up.
Thank you. Winston Churchill to me is very inspiring. A lot of his speeches and quotes are very inspiring to me. I collect quotes, and he's one of the ones that I do collect. I do know some of his quotes were quotes that he took from ancient Greece and Rome and the early things, and he rephrased it to match modern times. He was a great speaker, in my opinion. He really led the British people against the German invasion with a lot of his inspirational speeches. And for a small country like Britain to hold off the attacks of the Germans was a very big feat. And I think a lot of that was due to his inspiration of the people and what he was inspiring in them to protect Britain from German invasion. I don't know that specific speech. Is time up? Yeah. I don't know that specific speech or quote, but many of his are very memorable and very applicable today to all of us, even in Toastmasters, as far as leadership topics. So back to you, Carol.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Jimmy. I'm going to move on to Rolando. Rolando, you have a special one today. In 1939, the first shopping cart was invented. It was actually a folding chair mounted on wheels. How has shopping carts influenced your life or not? Rolando.
Thank you, Madam Topic Master, for Toastmasters and most welcome guests. Shopping cart. Believe it or not, whenever I go shopping, I try not to grab a cart so I don't pick up many stuff. I will pick up a small cart, a hand cart. I will go around and pick up my eggs for my breakfast and my milk, my juice. That's the only thing I could do at home, is cook breakfast. Everything else I purchase or go eat out. But venturing to World Environment Day, that's the day that we should emphasize that we need to protect and preserve our natural environment. And I hope to remind all of us that we should do everything we can in our power to do what we can to protect our environment. Try to use renewables, try to use electric cars, anything we can do to limit pollution, global warming, and also to limit sea level rises. Whatever we can do to protect our environment, because we only have one Earth. Thank you, Madam Pastor.
Thank you, Rolando. Moving on to Deborah Carr. Deborah, in 1783, this is not the important part of this question, but in 1783, the first hot air balloon took off with two guys on it. They went 1,500 feet. Who cares? All right. 1 year later, in 1784, the first woman went up in a hot air balloon, and she was up there 45 minutes and reached a height of 8,500 feet. Wow. Tell me more, Deborah. How have hot air balloons affected you or the first women out there? Feel free to take it in whatever direction you would like. Please join me in welcoming Deborah Carr.
Yay.
Yay.
Hot air balloons are just absolutely one of my favorite things that are on this planet. I've taken a hot air balloon ride across Sedona, Arizona. We took Red Rock rides, which fly higher and longer than any of the other rides. And it was absolutely breathtaking, taking off before dawn and watching the sun come up and around the Red Rocks. It was unbelievably fabulous. But one of my favorite stories about hot air balloon rides is when my son was 5, who's now in his 40s, and I wanted to take a hot air balloon ride. We were, I don't know, at some gathering where they had tethered rides. And I thought this would be a great way to start. So Ryan and I were in the basket with other people, and there were quite a few people in the basket. So the pilot was scooting on the edge of the basket, and he was sitting there. So as we went up, he would hit it and we'd rise. And it was my first time also in a balloon. And Ryan was holding onto my hand, and I was gripping on, and we would scoot up and then drop a little bit, and scoot up and drop a little bit. And when we went to leave, it was a short trip, you know, maybe 15 minutes or 10 minutes. And when we went to leave, I told the guy, I said, thank you so much. This was really exciting. He said, it was for me too. And I said, really? You do this all the time? He said, look where your hand was. And my hand was on his thigh the entire time. And every time we went up and I squeezed his thigh, I thought I was squeezing Ryan's hand. But it was memorable for everybody, I guess, in the basket that time. Either way, hot air balloon rides are always exciting for me. Madam Topics Master.
All right. I am so thrilled with our speakers tonight. We had a very good list. I'd like you to vote for your favorite one. We had first Jimmy talking about Churchill, Rolando talking about the first shopping cart and his experiences shopping, and Deborah talking about the hot air balloon. Vote for your favorite by sending it to Jim Barber. Jim Barber, thank you, honey. All right, cheers. I'm passing it back to Viviana.
Thank you, Carol, for the good table topics. Now we go back to Adrienne if she is ready to deliver her speech. Adrienne.
She says no, not tonight.
This is not tonight. Mm-hmm. Is that Norman here? No, Norman not here.
Mm-hmm. I have more table topics if you'd like, Madam Toastmaster.
Two more table topics, Carol. Okay.
2 more? Oh, okay. All right. Does anybody want to volunteer to participate tonight? Lois and Andy, you're up. I'll start with Lois. Lois, in 1974, Sally Murphy became the first woman to qualify as an aviator with the U.S. Army. What the heck took so long to have that official qualification? Today, women aim for having lots of qualifications. In many respects, they're overqualified. Tell me more, Lois.
Thank you, Madam Table Topic Master. Sally Murphy, she is an inspiration to so many women to have been the first one to have been accepted for this particular role. And you know what? Unfortunately, women are still not getting all that they deserve. 21 cents for change. When you look at what women are making in today's world compared to a man, usually we are making 21 cents less on the average dollar. We're making headways, but I think they're saying it's somewhere around 2,100 before women and men will have the same pay grade. Unfortunately, there is a difference, but we are making strides. Don't get me wrong. We are elevating. We are getting stronger. The Me Too movement, you're starting to see Hollywood getting the same salaries, people that won't even begin working unless the women are making the same salaries as the men. Kudos to those that step up. Sally Murphy, she was definitely a trendsetter. She was one of those women that so many look up to realize their dreams can be true and we can break that glass ceiling, whether it's through payroll, whether it's through earning an award or an achievement or becoming an aviator. But it does happen and we just need to keep trying. Yay, Sally Murphy. Thank you, Madam Table Topic Master.
Thank you, Lois. Moving on to Andy Byrne. Andy, in 1892, long time ago, the Sierra Club Incorporated was founded in San Francisco. What involvement have you had with the Sierra Club and how do you interpret its mission? Thank you, Andy.
Thank you for the question. I hope you can all hear me well. When I was in San Francisco, I went and visited the Sierra Club. They took me around their headquarters, showed me all their pictures, and identified all the projects that they were working with since the beginning of their organization. It was very, very impressive. Then they asked the typical 2 questions that they ask every person that visits the headquarters. 1, how would you like to get involved? And 2, how much money would you like to give us? Well, it was a very interesting time, and I did not have the luxury of involving myself in a number of their projects. However, they did get me for the money, and that's what happened when I visited the Sierra Club. They do good work, and I think that many people would really appreciate all the work that they do around the country and how many lives they change, and best of all, how they're protecting the environment for us. I'm looking for the timer. Do we have a timer thing on there?
You're at green.
I'm green. Okay, that's it.
All right, thank you so much. Yay! We have 5 amazing speakers today. We are starting over on the vote. Thank you, Jim Barber. We're going to start over, so please choose between the following speakers. Jimmy spoke about Churchill. Rolando spoke about the shopping cart. Deborah spoke about the hot air balloon, and Maria was her name. Lois spoke about the aviator, and Andy Burns spoke about the Sierra Club. Please join me in voting for the best table topic speaker. And it looks like everybody is in and qualified on time. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol, for your summary of table topics participants. Now we move on to the speech evaluation. Let's welcome the first speech evaluator is Carol Prasinski again, evaluating Monica Tucker.
Thank you so much, Viviana. Wow, Monica, what an amazing story. I was nervous about your story when I read the introduction online. I was like, oh, this is going to be a hot one. A hot, maybe wrong word, but it drew me in, just your introduction, and that's a really good start. So that we want to hear it, we're going to get online just to listen to this story. So you did a nice job writing up the overview of what you're going to be speaking about. Now, this purpose of number 10, Competent Communicator, is to inspire your audience, bringing your audience up to a high level, whatever you want to inspire us to do. And I think this one is going to still be needing to be emphasized in your background. So next speech, we'll keep working on it. You don't have to redo the speech, but I want you to keep working at some of these objectives. One of the things that you did extremely well was tell your story. It was conversational in tone. You had a really nice opening introduction, going through the different body and the conclusion of the speech. Really well organized, longitudinal organization. But the area that I think you need to work on is asking yourself, what is in it for my audience? What is it that what is the message I want them to know? And your story has lots of those messages. I'm not sure which one you want us to walk away with. You ended with, be sure to live your life to the fullest. I want you to expand on that and incorporate that message throughout the speech. Why is it important? Not just because we might have a short lifespan, something out of the blue might happen. But tell us a little bit more about why this needs to be an important part of our daily living. Not all of us face that life-altering moment as you have gone through. And yes, it will change your life, but there's so many different messages that can come out of that. Make sure that we hear that message strongly. So focus on what's in it for my audience and what can they take from this. And the fact that you're still doing triathlons and you're actively engaged, like I said, there's a lot of messages, a lot of things that you could take us in terms of where we could go with this, even after these life-altering experience. Now, one of the things I noticed is when you shifted over to the PowerPoint slides, your tone changed. And I guess that's somewhat normal, but you now focused on your screen, and we were focused on the screen, as opposed to the storytelling method that you had earlier. I almost want to suggest perhaps it wasn't needed. I thought the scar was actually very important, and I'm glad I did get to see it, but I'm not sure that the rest of the images were needed. So maybe because you were telling a story, we're grabbed by the story itself and the message. And I liked some phrases, for example, walking the wall. That was for the car, walking the wall, and you're like, oh, I'm sauntering along the wall, but it's not like that. And you're comment about, hey, you don't have enough time to even turn around before it comes at you. You think it's going slow and it's not. I think these are good messages. You had good volume, nice pauses. I thought your photos were excellent, and I'm out of time. So thank you, Monica. I look forward to the next speech. Passing it back to Viviana.
Thank you, Carol. Now we may move to the second evaluator is Jimmy Dan. Are you ready?
Yes, I am. Hey, Rachel, your speech was really interesting. Is a very good story to tell about living on a farm and wanting to go see sea turtles. So right away, at the very intro, we understood what the story was going to be about. And, you know, typically living on a farm, I grew up on a farm, you don't see sea turtles on a farm. You have to go to an aquarium someplace. So that made it very interesting. I wanted to know, okay, how did this person wind up going and seeing sea turtles? The story had a good flow to it. It was clear, understandable. It didn't seem to be like fragmented little stories that didn't connect together. Everything seemed to connect as you went along. One of the suggestions I might have is to use more voice variety in role-playing the person that wrote the story. Since you're reading a story, it just sounded like you were telling your own personal story, but it didn't have the clear, strong, emotional feeling. And that may be something you want to work on to create more of an emotional connection, expressing what the person was actually thinking. The eye contact, it was obvious you were reading the story. And another suggestion I would have is get to know the story more so you can just glance down to keep track, but then you can be telling it in your own words rather than reading it so much. You just keep track of where you're at and then telling it from your heart or from what you understand from your words. There was voice variety. You did emphasize some words, but like I said, it could have been a little stronger. And that's all I have for now, Monica. Back to you, Viviana. Or who's the general evaluator?
Not that evaluator, because not that speech. So let's move on to the quick reports from our assistant today. You can share with us two good things about our meeting. Let's first call our grammarian is Jim Barber.
Yes, Madam Toastmaster. As grammarian and vote counter this evening, I have discovered that I am not a good multitasker. I was not able to do either job as well as I wanted to. As far as grammarian goes, Monica used the phrase, she described the back of her clothing as if you had taken a cheese grater to the back of her clothing. That was very visual, very effective. I liked that. Rachel, I didn't get this exactly, but you talked about during your dream that you dreamed that a whole school of baby turtles swam behind me. That was very visual. We could picture that, and that worked very, very well. Jimmy, in his evaluation, used the word fragmented. I just like that. That's a very precise, very descriptive word. That's great. And that is it as far as the grammarian this evening. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Jim Barber. And don't forget to vote for our evaluator today. Sorry. Now let's call the watcher, Elaine Lieberding.
I really enjoyed this role this evening, Madam Toastmasters, fellow Toastmasters, and honored guests. I think we have a few guests today. Particularly enjoyable to me was seeing Deborah Carr during Table Topics, really noticing the contrast between her neutral gray and white background, her fuchsia dress, pink lips, and very nice balanced lighting. Also, she used colorful movements. She had lots of beautiful gestures that added to the humor and enjoyment of the story. That was great. I'd like to mention Rachel. Because I knew she was reading from a story, it would have been enjoyable even to see like the cover of her book as a pretty or stimulating visual reference. She was well balanced within her visual frame, but I would have liked to have seen her face a little brighter. It's easy for anyone to add a small lamp in front of your video camera screen to brighten up your face on the screen so we can see you and enjoy your facial expressions. For Monica, I love the contrast of her red hair against her green background, but would have loved to have seen a little bit more equal lighting on both sides of her face. As well as for anyone who has not yet invested in an external webcam, it really is a good and inexpensive investment so that when someone watches you on large screen, your image won't seem pixelated and will be able to enjoy you better. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Elaine, for your feedback. And now I call the counter is Salma Al-Jani for your report.
All right, my report, I heard Roger saying 2 Oz, Deborah 1 I don't know, Jimmy 1 nothing for Monica, nothing for Lewis, 2 Oz for Scott, Ronald, I got nothing. Tanya, I got nothing. Rachel, I got 3 Oz. Adriana, Andre Byrne, I got nothing. Viviana, I got 1, 2, 3, 4 Oz. Jimmy, Carol, and Elaine, I got nothing. And back to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Salma, for your report. Now we call the chat monitor is Deborah.
Here we go. Our chat was just to me, a nice even keel tonight, because you could tell that when, let's try again. I'm glad I came late tonight. Okay, the chat was going through a nice roll tonight, because especially during the speeches, you could tell that people were paying attention rather than in the chat, playing in there. And I loved a lot of the remarks that they did post, that everyone did post, because everything was really inspirational tonight. And especially if you take your kid up in a hot air balloon, watch the guy's thigh if you're a lady. So, and that was it. The chat did really well. Thanks.
Thank you, Deborah, for watching the chat monitor today. Now, how is our meeting going? We will have Luis to evaluate the whole meeting. Luis.
Thank you, Viviana. Well, we had a nice beginning. We all got to know each other a little bit, and that's always entertaining. We started right on time. Unfortunately, our sergeant at arms didn't start us, so we should have had the gavel, and we should have been properly started, just like we should properly end. I'm not sure I understand how Roger, even though he did a fabulous job, it probably should have gone to Adrienne or myself or Monica as you go down the list to make sure that we're going over the information properly. It would be nice if some of us fill out the names of the speeches in the agenda just so that we could see what the titles are and what we can look forward to, because I know I always like to take a sneak peek and see what we're looking into. The table topics were amazing. Carol, thank you ever so much. There she is. Thank you ever so much. I loved how Viviana reminded us all the time, make sure you send your votes to Jim. And Carol actually listed everybody that gave a table topic so we knew who to vote for. So I thought that was really good. And the only other thing, and I think maybe Jimmy and the new board needs to consider this, is once the meeting started and roles are assigned, it's not right to go ahead and switch the roles off, because I know at one point Viviana was saying, oh, John's here, he can be the general evaluator. But when John came in, half the meeting was already done. So once the roles are done and the gavel is pounded, the roles don't switch. I mean, I didn't care about the chat monitor because that's neither here nor there, and Deborah came on within a couple of minutes. But we do need to be cognizant of switching the roles just because somebody comes on. If they're late and the role's given away, the role's given away. Overall, it was a fabulous meeting. I enjoyed it immensely and look forward to not next week, because next week's my birthday, but the week after. I'll see you all then. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Luis, for your general evaluation today. Now let's find out the winners of today's meeting. Let's call Jim Barber.
With pleasure, Madam Toastmaster. As I just reported in the chat, for those people that might be audio declined, let's see, I just lost it. Our best speaker of the evening was Monica. Our best table topics presenter was Rolando. And our best evaluator this evening was Carol.
Thank you, Jim, for picking up the winners of today's meeting. Now I conclude my responsibility as Toastmaster of the day. Thanks to Roger who gave me the details of Toastmaster of the day roles and responsibility. Back to you, Roger.
A big hand for Viviana, first time Toastmaster of the day in online presenter. With that, let me hand the control over to Lois, our VP of membership.
Thank you, sir. Viviana, you did a great job. First time, kudos. Fabulous. Another round of applause. We have a couple of guests on the call here. Salma, I see that you are returning. What did you think? Are you almost ready to give it a go?
I think so. I think I'm learning a lot, and like I said, I'm not comfortable chatting too much on the online, and this is a great practice. So yes, I'm very optimistic.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. I will be in touch with you tomorrow, and you can go ahead and go online and fill out your application. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I think you are in, and you've already given 6 speeches, right? Have you given 6 speeches?
Are you talking to me?
Uh-huh.
Yes.
You have. Okay, I thought so.
First chance, and I think I was doing advanced, but I think I'm now switching to pathways. Yeah.
Wonderful. And Tanya, how did you like our meeting?
I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Now, is this your first time attending?
First.
I thought
yes.
so. And how did you hear about us?
I used to be in Toastmasters like 20 or 25 years ago. So I just went online and found you guys.
Wow, 20, 25 years
yes,
ago. Okay.
Yes.
That's a little bit of a jump, and we welcome you back, and we're so glad you found us. And will you be joining us next week again?
Either next week or the week after.
Wonderful. Well, I will be in touch with you also, and I think that takes care of all of my guests. Great meeting. I will turn back to you, Roger.
All right, thank you, Lois. Is there any announcements that anybody needs to make or like to make? I will unmute everybody. Yes, Lois.
June 25th, webinar. Have we heard if we have a guest judge yet? I've not heard that.
Anyone has any information to add on to that yet? If not, go to our website. On June 25th, we are having our second mini webinar speech contest. So go in, sign up. And we will, I'm sure David will give us more information as we get closer and closer. Just like the face-to-face competition or contest in our clubs and districts and whatnot, when you get a chance to actually compete, you learn a whole lot more than just simply giving a speech. So I will encourage as many of you to jump in as possible. That will be great. Yes, John T.
Yeah, just a quick question regarding the officers. Will there be any official transfer meeting, or how can the current officers transfer it to the new ones?
You know, I'm reading between the lines. Are you asking if there's some kind of a ceremony of some sort that we would hand it over from one term to another? Maybe Lois can give some input there.
Well, I think what's going to happen is Jimmy and David will connect up, and after one of these meetings, we'll all get together and stay afterwards and basically pass the baton from one to the next. But as VPE, you probably want to connect with Adrienne and just give her a shout out or an email and find out exactly where she is, because she is just working it. I mean, I'm sure everyone's been seeing these emails. She's been amazing. So you have some big shoes to fill there. But go ahead and give her an email. Maybe you two can connect, but I'm sure, Jimmy, you have anything to add to that?
No, that's it. I was going to ask Dave if we want to have like a short induction ceremony, maybe on the meeting before the contest. Since contest will probably take some time.
Perhaps we can get Coach Carol, since she was our coach for this club, that she can do the installation or induction. Sorry, you guys call it induction.
Great.
Just a thought.
All right, good idea. If there's no more pressing announcement, I will call the end of this meeting. And all of you are welcome to stick around. I will stop the recording. You can